Welcome to UNCAGED, a show that celebrates thought leadership from today's top business leaders. The program provides a voice to amazing executives from around the globe who are shaping the world of business today and mapping the path to the commerce of tomorrow. Today, we're speaking with Muyiwa Faulkner. Muyiwa, it's great to have you on the program.
Same here, Vance. Really looking forward to this.
Now, Muyiwa is up to really interesting stuff. He is the co-founder and CEO at Blackcopper, which is a financial services company whose main goal is to go beyond the provision of mundane banking services and build a fast-growing community around their users. And we'll talk about what Muyiwa and his team are building at Blackcopper. But before we get there, Muyiwa, tell us a little bit about yourself and your career.
Hey, Vance. So I started out at a bank in Nigeria called Guarantee Trust Bank, where I was handling corporate internet banking and building out SME versions of the corporate internet banking. You know, essentially my love for small businesses started there because I realized that within the market today, within the financial services market, there is a neglect for small businesses and nano businesses in particular, even though these guys are essentially the most important part of the economy because they represent around 50% of our GDP, around 79% of our workforce, but no one was really doing anything for them. You know, even things as basic as corporate internet banking or as personal internet banking for them to run their business. And that was always a major issue. So from there on, I moved on to do my first startup, which didn't work out, as you can tell. I mean, we're here now. That was around, you know, building kiosks that enable people to pay cash, to use cash for bills payment. So it was like a cash kiosk. And then you can buy postages, you can open bank accounts and all of those type of things. But it didn't see the light of the day at the time. I guess it was wrong timing and for that one at that time. Then I moved back into paid employment, did a stint at Flutterwave, at Apt, at Migo, before we then, you know, decided to start Blackcopper in the middle of COVID.
Wow, that's great. Well, you know, those businesses, those kiosk-based businesses are tricky. They all seem amazing at first, and then, you know, you start to think about the cost of the hardware and the maintenance.
Yeah, it was majorly the cost of the hardware. The CapEx was too huge to deal with.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're onto something much more interesting now with Blackcopper. So tell me more about what you and the team are working on.
Great. You know, so going back to my love for small businesses and the neglect that they were experiencing, we decided to build out something that enables us to use alternate data to be able to make credit decisions about small business owners. You would agree with me that the small businesses and their personal identities are usually intertwined. These guys, most times they don't have registered businesses, they don't have business accounts, so they use their personal accounts for businesses. In Nigeria today and in Africa and in most emerging markets, 85% of their transactions are cash. So what that means is it's difficult even for existing players to be able to offer them credit because they don't have any footprint about these guys, whether digital or even traditional. You know, they don't usually keep too many records, all their transactions are cash. So what we've done is we understand that the embodiment of a human being isn't just their bank statements. You're not a sum of your bank statement. There are several other things that make you a human being. How long have you had your phone number? Male or female, where do you live? How economically viable is the area that you're in? Do you have a steady location? Do you have a steady phone number? Have you been at your market or at your store for a particular period of time? So all of these different data points go into the algorithm, and then the algorithm powers our digital bank. You know, so Blackcopper is essentially a credit-led digital bank that gives easy and fast access to financial services for small businesses. And in Nigeria today, small businesses, there are well over 42 million of them. We're only just scratching the surface. We just started. We've been able to acquire over 190,000 of those people. We have around 40,000 of them active. Wow. We've disbursed over $4 billion in loans to them. And we think that we still have a really long way to go. And we're doubling down on this.
I love it. I agree with you so thoroughly in terms of the need to reassess risk and reassess the services that these small to medium-sized business owners need. I love what you're doing. There's been quite a few efforts by companies around the world to start this process. However, they constantly run into those lovely legacy issues of, banks. I mean, certainly somebody needs to underwrite this. I'd love to know, how did you get the underwriters to back you guys?
Great question. So we're underwriting ourselves. No one's doing the underwriting. No one wants to take on the underwriting. So we've realized, we've tried to do the underwriting. Nobody wants to do it. Nobody wants to touch it. Everyone's like, well, why go through the hard part when I can make money easier? So well, for us, it's more of a.
But I mean, think about the story, Muyiwa. Like in a couple of years' time, the data that you're going to have that can essentially rewrite risk. It's incredible. Rewrite the whole story of risk is phenomenal. What a great story. Well, let me get a better sense of what you guys are doing in the context of the business landscape. It sounds like you guys are focused heavily on Africa or Nigeria right now. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, that is correct. Right now, we're just in Nigeria, even though we're a Delaware company, but we're focused on just Nigeria. But over the next 12 to 18 months, we will be expanding to Ghana, Uganda, and Tanzania. We also have plans to go to Mexico and Brazil. Hey, it's an emerging market problem. And emerging markets exist in various parts of the world as well. So, but we want to start with Africa because I'm a big proponent of deep before wide. So, go deep in this market. Nigeria is the biggest market in Africa. So if we go deep in Nigeria, we solve it in Nigeria, we get the biggest market share in Nigeria, it becomes easier to take the model and just take it to any other country that we go to and just plug in data, and then you're able to start making loans and generating revenue immediately.
So tell me a little bit about the landscape in Nigeria and the digital landscape. I mean, are you finding companies are seeking these types of solutions out, or are you having to spend a lot of time educating? Where is the market these days?
So right now, we're somewhere in the middle. So we have people who are focused on payments. We have people who are focused on savings and investments. We have people who are focused on credit. And more, the education that we're needing to do is teaching people how to manage credit, letting them understand that first, it's not free money. Second, you can manage it in a way that enables your business to grow tremendously, right? And we're letting them understand that, so we're coming from a place where people have legacy beliefs that credit is bad. So we grew up in an environment where your parents will say to you, oh, don't take credit. The bank doesn't want you to survive. They want to kill you. They're going to kill your business. They're going to take your house. They're going to take your money. They're going to take your car. Right. And we're now moving away from that to say, well, yes, but there is a way to do it in a way that it grows your business and the business continues to service the credit and it doesn't become a problem for you. Right. So we're gradually getting to those areas where we're telling people that, why do you have to push up the cash for it when you can take a loan and spread it over a longer term? And then you can use your cash to reinvest in other things. That's the best financial thing to do and help people to make better financial decisions. So we're training them, giving them more access to financial literacy, giving them a bit more process automation. We're encouraging these guys to register their businesses. We're encouraging them to pay their taxes because for us, we're also, the tax part is also some data that is going to start going into the algorithm now to make better decisions, because when you pay your taxes, it means you're a good citizen. Your willingness is very high when you pay taxes. And the most difficult thing to estimate is willingness to repay. But for people who are able to willingly pay taxes, it means that they have good intentions, and those are the type of people you want to continue to bring on. So and that is also a good thing.
So that's one of the factors that you would look at, basically. No, it's fascinating. One of the things that I've always felt is, young people in emerged markets, not just emerging markets, but emerged markets like Western Europe and the US, where young people, where they're paying their bills regularly, they still struggle to get credit support to essentially rent apartments, buy cars. It's insane. And yet, if you look at their actions show that they're good risks. They're a good bet. And so I'm very excited to see how your model continues to build. But let me shift gears a bit here, Muyiwa, because you have another interesting story here, which is that you started the business at the very beginning of the pandemic. And I'd just be curious to hear your pathway from really May of 2020 to now and how that's developed and the challenges and opportunities that you faced.
That's so interesting. So at the time that we started, to be honest, I wasn't sure to start or not to start because of COVID. I was head of business for a similar business called Migo at the time. I was just coming out of surgery. So I played football a lot. So I tore my ligament. I had a replacement surgery. I was just coming out of that surgery, going through rehabilitation. And then I said to my team on one of the weekly calls, I was like, well, if there's a downturn now, I probably would be the first to go because, hey, I'm just getting out of surgery. I'm not contributing much. I thought that I was just messing around. I really didn't know that was going to happen. And then that ended up happening, but I didn't have to go. But some other people in my team had to go. So at that point, I started to think to myself, because I was against the decision, I didn't think it was the right decision. And then the fact that I also didn't get to pick the people who could live on my team, I also didn't like that. So that kind of accelerated the need to start Blackcopper. And then everyone in the industry at the time where everyone was reducing their loan books. They were essentially not doing new loans anymore. Small businesses were struggling. Everyone was complaining. And I kept saying, there are guys who are still doing businesses. People still have to eat. People still have to drink water. People still have to, there's still a bit of life, even though people couldn't move around as much. And you need to be able to support these kind of people with credit, right? But hey, no one was listening to me. I called up my co-founder, who's also my friend from my banking days and also Flutterwave days. And I said, you know what? I'm thinking about setting this thing up. It's going to be called Blackcopper. Do you want to come on? He's an engineer. And then I was like, hey, do you want to jump on this thing with me? I think it's going to be an exciting ride. And he was like, in the middle of COVID? I said, yeah, in the middle of COVID, let's do this. I mean, like, hey, this is the hardest time. So let's get it done now. If we figure it out now, it'll be easier on. And then we started, spoke to a few family and friends to get our first pre-seed off the ground. And we did get it along that way.
That's excellent. And in some ways, you probably learned a bit from the Migo experience as well, probably what could be done better, how you could be more effective in the local community. Yeah, I can see that.
Migo did give the access to be able to learn around small businesses, how to support them, how to de-risk the process of supporting them as well. Using alternate data, we were able to get a lot of learnings from Migo at the time.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, I mean, now we're at an interesting point, and I would say as a fintech business, you're really kind of in the eye of the hurricane a bit, in the sense that, we have this global stress on the economies around the world. Is it a recession? Is it something else? Who knows? I mean, we know perhaps it's, definition is, from an economist perspective, a recession, but in some ways, perhaps it has different traits and different characteristics. Tell me a little bit how that's impacting your business and how you guys are planning for the near future.
That's great. So great thing is we're fundraising at this time. We're doing our seed round now, trying to raise $3 million at a $20 million valuation. It's kind of made that a little more interesting than normal. If we were doing this 2 years ago, we would have closed the round in maybe 2 or 3 weeks with our traction and all the things that we have. But we've gotten to a point where investors are a bit more careful. Everyone's holding their cards to their chest. They're trying to see what's going to happen. But within this space, what we have seen is demand has almost doubled.
Wow.
Because during a recession, everyone still needs money, right? Everyone still wants access to money. So what we have done on our side as well is pretty much focus on our repeat customers and say to them, don't worry, we would always be here to support you. To say, if you're paying your loans on time, you will get more loans. It would not be a problem for you. For people who are newly coming in, we're just acquiring you. We're going to take a more granular approach to scoring you. We look at you more closely than we might have last year. But now we have to look at yeah, we have to look at you a little more, and we will give you a chance as well. We'll make you an offer on your first loan. If you do great on your first loan, then we'll see how you continue to grow with us.
Right.
So we don't think that being in a recession means that everything has to shut down, or we think that it's a time to double down on market share on our side as well. It's a time to stick close to our customers. It's a time to tell our customers we will always be there to support you, and say, well, everyone says no to you, we will say yes. We'll say yes because we have historicals that show that you honor your word. We have historicals that show that you repay your loans on time, and we will trust that you continue to do that.
Yeah, I know. And I can see how you're building up that track record that you'll be able to attract investors. Well, Muyiwa, if there are investors out there or other people that really are interested in the Blackcopper service, where's the best place to find you and learn more?
Hey, I'm on LinkedIn. You can check the website, blackcopper.io. We're there. The app is on the Play Store or the iOS store. You can download the app, walk through it. But I'm very easily reachable on LinkedIn as well. I'm always and I respond on time.
Now, big question I can't remember. Did Nigeria qualify for the World Cup or no? Are you guys in or not?
No, we didn't. No, we didn't.
Oh.
It was so painful. I was looking forward to a trip to Qatar, because I would have gone if Nigeria made it, but we didn't.
Well, I feel like the World Cup is losing out. I mean, whenever the Eagles play, it's so exciting, exciting. I think it's probably my favorite national team, in terms of the passion that they play. And obviously, there have been some fabulous European players over the years that come from Nigeria. Well, Muyiwa, thank you so much for being on UNCAGED today. We've been talking to Muyiwa Faulkner. He is the co-founder and CEO of Blackcopper. Blackcopper is doing some really interesting stuff in terms of delivering financial services, really going after small to medium-sized businesses, providing them the services that they need to grow their business, rethink how they assess risk, rethink how they assess credit, and build forward. It's an incredible space. It's for anyone who believes in small to medium-sized business as the driver for our global economy, which it is, and people sometimes forget that, this type of work is exactly what we need. Muyiwa, thank you so much for being on UNCAGED today, and we look forward to having you back.